Luis Fernando, can you explain me what the plot is there with the red paint on the trees?
Well, that's a permanent plot that we use for the monitoring of the performance of the plantation. So we have a 500 square meters plot, and we measure it every year. So we are constructing our own yield tables.
Okay. Thank you very much, Luis.
Okay.
Luis Fernando, I will ask you another question. Luis Fernando, can you tell me where we are?
We are located in the plantation that belongs to the Mr. Eduardo Villaquiran. He's a private owner, and we are located in the Angochagua parish and the municipality of Ibarra.
And when was this plantation planted?
This plantation was planted in 1996.
And it contains of mostly pine.
Yeah, well, it has two species, Eucalyptus globulus and Pinus radiata. 54 hectares of Pinus radiata and 44 hectares of Eucalyptus. Same age.
You see some sheep grazing here. Do they have a specific function?
Well, the owner allowed these people to graze their sheep here because it will put an eye on the plantation, because he doesn't live here, so somebody will take care of it.
And the stems that are lying here, or the branches that are lying here on the ground, they are from pruning, huh?
Yes, pruning and part of thinning as well, part of the most thin branches and part of the main stem.
So after approximately 10 years, the first thinning round takes place?
Yes, well, this was thinned at age 12 and 13. Second thin will be on the next, in 5 or 6 years probably. And there will be probably a third thinning on 3 years or 4 years later. No complaint with my cup? Okay, let me show. This is a permanent plot which we use for all the plantations, and this permanent plot has 500 square meters, and we measure all the trees inside that area. We do it annually every year, and then we can actually know how is growing the plantation and how big are the trees. And in this particular case, we knew last year from last year's measurements that it needs the thinning, and that's the way we proceed with the thinnings. Once the growth is getting less and less because competence, then that's the right moment to do the thinning, and that's why we do these measurements year by year.
Luis Fernando, who is the owner of these lands?
Well, these lands belong to the Zuleta community. They are Quechua descendant indigenous people that live around this area.
And as I understand, they planted these trees about 6 years ago. Can you tell me a little bit more about these trees?
Well, these trees is called Yagual. That's the common name, and the scientific name is Polylepis. It's indigenous to Ecuador, and they decided to plant 100 hectares in this place where there is a catchment of water very important for the city of Ibarra. So they decided to cultivate this species in order to leave it almost forever. conserve and protect this catchment of water, and they are looking forward to see if the municipality of Ibarra could give kind of compensation for this kind of work that they are doing here in this area.
So basically they planted these trees in order to get a payment for the ecosystem services it provides.
Yes, definitely.
Which in this case it's specifically water.
Water, yes. Water protection, yes.
And what is the direct linkage between the trees and the water protection?
Well, at least this area was used to be dedicated for grazing, and most of the years they burn it just to let the grass come up again, so that the cattle eat it easily. But now they from 7 years ago they stopped burning, they stopped grazing, and they planted trees, and that's why the grassland is so high now. And this protects and conserves actually the moisture in the soil, and does keep it in the soil permanently.
And we can see the city of Ibarra there in the background?
Yeah. Well, that's Otavalo. Ibarra is just behind this hill.
And does this land also provide other ecosystem services besides water?
Well, yes, because stopping burning and stopping grazing, some other animals have come here because they see that there's a kind of environment where there's no threats for them. For example, puma is coming again, deers are coming again, and here in this area the community doesn't allow for hunting, so there's a kind of biodiversity also considered in this place.
And on top of that, so we already have water, biodiversity. On top of that, it also sequestrates carbon in the trees.
Yes.
Which prevents climate change.
Yes, this is I would say this is very interesting species, because from the carbon point of view, it has 4 or 5 main stems, and so all of them they capture carbon, and on the other side it's a hardwood, so it is high density, which means that the content of carbon is high, very high in these kind of trees.
And do you think that the owner of this land, the local community, would eventually receive payments for all the ecosystem services provided, such as the water, shelter and the carbon sequestration?
Oh yes, definitely. From the water point of view, they have already made contact with the municipality of Ibarra, and they are asking for a kind of compensation for this work that they are doing in this catchment.
And have you heard whether the city of Ibarra would be interested in participating in such a scheme?
Well, they show interest. It is a political issue, because that means that they have to make an adjustment on the invoices for the customers for water consumption. But they have already started doing some work with the community. For example, they appointed a forest guard for them. It is paid by the municipality, so this forest guard takes care of the plantation and all this place in order to avoid people hunting or people coming here and start burning the trees. So that's one thing that they start doing with the municipality. And on the other hand, the municipality also support them for the establishment of a nursery. So they have a nursery in that part where they produce these kind of trees, these polylepis, and they reproduce them by cuttings. So they cut the cuttings from the plantation, they put them there in the nursery, and they reproduce it, and they are extending the plantation.
Okay. Thank you very much, Luis Fernando.
Okay.